Hello and welcome to another video on my channel. My name is Busi and this is a space where I talk all things life abroad as a South African living in Canada, as well as self-care. On today's video, I am talking about how we manage to support our kids and help them in that transition period of moving to another country, starting a new school, having to make new friends, having to learn a lot of different things, and just sharing on how they have been doing up till this point from our observation, or my observation specifically as their mom, because they're not the ones making this video. So today I am highlighting Lindy Wemhlongo's comment where she was requesting that I make this kind of a video, and I'll just read what she wrote. And if you have anything that you would like me to talk about, if I can talk about it, I will make a video around it, and it can potentially help other people who are wondering the same thing. So don't be shy to drop those comments in the comment sections of my video. So this question from Lindy Wemhlongo says, "Sawubona, I love your content. May I request that you please make a video about your kids from preparing them for the big move. So leaving friends, family, and everything they are used to adjusting to the new life and the time it took for them to fully adjust to food, different accents, time zones, etc. I have two boys, and my oldest was 6 years old and my youngest was 2 years old. So you can imagine with my youngest, really, he was so young. He hadn't started going to creche or any form of daycare yet. He was still very much at home. So he just knew like family, and those were the people he would be getting disconnected from. So that's one side of things. The other side of things that I want to talk about with my 2-year-old is the fact that he did not know any English. He didn't speak any English when we moved. We are not people who speak English when we're at home. Even at my parents' house, kukhulunywa Zulu nesiXhosa. So he knew Zulu and Xhosa. He spoke a lot more Xhosa because he hung out with my dad a lot more. So he didn't know any English, and that was one of the biggest things that I thought, okay, how are we going to manage this now? Because he's going to a country that basically speaks English. That's the other side of things that I will talk about when it comes to my 2-year-old. Now, my oldest was 6, and when we were leaving South Africa, he had just completed grade R and he was about to move to grade 1. So for him, it was going to be a new school. It was going to be new friends. He didn't have that whole, oh, we're going to be going to grade 1 together thing with the friends that he already had. He had to come and start fresh in a new school, new teachers. He would have been changing the teacher already, but it most likely would have been a teacher that he was used to seeing in the school in some form or shape. And the environment would have been the same type of environment. So for him, that's the main change that I want to talk about on today's video. And for both of them, really, they're in a new country. There's so many new things that they are just not used to. So for both of them, when it comes to leaving what they were used to and moving to something else, one thing that I think makes or made the biggest of difference is just always communicating what was going to happen. So showing them videos, showing them things about life in Canada, and telling them that there will come a time. You can even specify a certain month if you already know what month it is, what year it is. It might not mean anything to your kids, but when they ask you, they're like, oh, what month are we in now? How long till we get to this month? And you just try and get them excited to a certain extent. Like that's what we would do. Just talk about Canada. We're going to go on an airplane. We're going to travel for a very long amount of time. There's going to be snow where we're going. We don't know anybody there. We're going to have to find, this and that. And it's an adventure basically for all of us. It's an adventure. And when you think of kids and how new everything already is to them, I think it makes it that much more easier for them to be able to adjust to anything new that is brought up in their environment. And for both of them, honestly, I feel like as much as they missed people, they missed their family back home, but we have WhatsApp. We have WhatsApp calls. We have all of these things that they can still communicate with people. We can take pictures. They send pictures of things that they'd like to communicate. Of course, they'd like to see them, but we helped prepare them before we moved that there will come a time where you're not going to be able to see ugogo nomkhulu, your uncles, and all of the people that you love spending time with. You're not going to be able to see them in person, but you're going to have mommy and daddy. And I think for them, having us made a difference because we are there, we're familiar, we are the people that they know, we are the thing that feels the most familiar to them. And I honestly don't think it mattered that much that they were in a new environment. They also had each other. I think that also is something that helped. But the biggest thing that I want to highlight on that piece of moving and going to new places and being exposed to new and different things and leaving what you know behind is that you should communicate to your child. Let them know as soon as you know that for sure, we are going to move. Make sure that you communicate that to them in a way that they can best understand. Whether it's by showing them videos or clips or explaining certain parts of the journey, getting them excited about doing new things or trying out new things or being exposed to different things. That really goes a long way. Don't just rock up one day, pack your kid up and boom, they're gone. And they're just like, where's my grandmother? Where's my friend? Where's my old school, my old teacher, my old this? So I would find that my oldest, he used to talk about it a lot at school. He would tell his teachers, whoever was willing to listen really, that we're going to move. Like, we're going to move to Canada. And some of the teachers that we hadn't really shared it with and people that looked after him in the after school care program that he was in at the school, they would say, hey, Owetu mentioned this. And it's like, oh yeah, we are going to move. So it's something that he got to get excited about. He got to understand, like would even show him on a map that we are right now in South Africa. We're over here. We're going to move all the way to there. So an airplane is going to take us and we're going to travel with it and go all the way over there. And it was things that excited him to a point that he wanted to share it with people that were willing to listen. So communication is key. It's the most important one to help them get themselves ready for the new adventure that is coming. So now, my 2-year-old at the time doesn't speak any English, and he is now in Canada. He has to come to Canada and he's going to be going to daycare when we're going to work. There's no gogo and mkulu that's going to be staying with him during the day. And he now has to learn how to communicate very basic things with people. So one of the things that we did was just teach him basic words on things that he would need. So if you need to go and pee, you know, you're not saying it in Zulu or Xhosa anymore. You say pee, like just one word. It doesn't even have to be a sentence. For us, it was just that one word. If you need to go and pee, just say pee. And we also, when we got to the daycare, just explained, he doesn't speak any English yet, and he was not the only child. He's not the only child that they had ever experienced who came from a different country and spoke a different language. People immigrate to Canada from all over the world, and they come speaking whatever language that they speak. And the teachers, really, they were very supportive, very understanding, and things worked out pretty well. They worked out pretty well, and he caught on pretty quickly to the language, the English language. So what we started doing was, okay, you need to pee, the word pee. And we started having him say pee when we were in the house, when we were still in the house before he started going to school, when he did need to go pee, because he still needed help. Like, he was still so short, he couldn't stand over the toilet on his own. So if we didn't have a step, I remember in the Airbnb that we were in, we didn't have like that thing that they can climb on to be able to like stand on their own. You literally had to pick him up and help him pee properly. So he had to ask for help if he needed to go and pee at home. So we started him with that, just basic words: pee, poop if he needed to go and poop, hungry if he needed something to eat, thirsty or drink, like just to be able to communicate the most basic of things that he would need at school. So that's what we did with him. And we also tried to start speaking English a lot more, just to say, okay, You ask him maybe to do something in a language that he understands, Zulu or Xhosa, and then translate it to English. Like say the thing in Zulu and then say it in English, or say it in Xhosa. I honestly don't really speak that much Xhosa. I should not say that, my people. I am 50% Xhosa, 50% Zulu. Anyway, that's not the point of this conversation. But we just started having that kind of conversation with him where we say something in the language that he understands and we translate it to the English that he will have to now start communicating in, just to get him into that flow of understanding a few things here and there. But the basics were the most important, and he picked up pretty quickly. Kids learn languages so much easier. They learn languages so much easier. And I think it's because they're really not afraid to try. The world has not yet taught them that maybe somebody's gonna make fun of you if you say something that you don't know and you say it maybe in a wrong way. So I think that's the biggest thing with kids, that as an adult, you might find it a bit difficult to learn certain things, even based on the people that you're around. So if you're going to be around people who are gonna, and I won't go into my own experiences with trying to learn other people's languages, but I do know of a time during my primary school years where I tried to speak other people's languages because I'm trying to learn how to speak the language. And because I'd say words in a funny way with my own accent, they'd just laugh and make fun of the way that I say words. And I was just like, well, okay, I guess I'm not doing that anymore. So I think with kids, it's very important that you don't make fun of the way that they speak or the way that they say things. And that is what makes them learn things a lot more quicker. They're not being made fun of. They're not going to be scared of trying something new. They're not going to be scared of saying it the wrong way. Like, you understand what they're trying to say at the end of the day. And over time, they improve, they get better, and things just work out. Now, the question that some of you might have probably might be, do they still speak Zulu or Xhosa?